Hello, my name is Larry Robinson, Deacon Emeritus from Rainbow Park Baptist Church. As of May of this year, we would have been members of Rainbow for 47 years, and I've enjoyed it. And what I would like to do for you is to give you a slight background of the history of this church. Now, this church was evolved from a Bush Arbor type setting. In other words, people were holding meetings. These people were Cleveland and Nancy Clay in the Kirkwood area. And it was started, the meetings in 1870. Now, as they went along, they grew the church, and the church was in 1873, 1873 was officially put into the Baptist records. It was then called the Beach Spring Baptist Church. As they went along, they grew the congregation piece by piece. They went into different buildings, and the reason that they went into different buildings that it takes time to build and to build a congregation, so that in 1886 they went into their second building. That building was moved from the original location into Howard Street. It still exists now as another church. Then they kept building, and then they went into a building that is now Israel Baptist Church. And that by that time in 1894, they had changed the name from Beach Springs Baptist Church to Kirkwood Baptist Church. And in 1966, they moved again, and they moved to this location out on Columbia Drive in Decatur, Georgia. And it took them 3 years, but in 3 years, in 1969, they changed the name of this church to Rainbow Park Baptist Church. And we went along. I came here in 1978. Our pastor here was Dr. Gene Tyre. In about 5 years, because of personal reasons, he resigned and went someplace else. And we went through another pastor for a few years, Randy Mullis. He and his wife, they were pastored here for about 8 or 9 years, and he retired. And from that day, we started to have a few different pastors. We had interim pastors for a while. Then the church picked 13 people out of the congregation to act as a pulpit committee. And we started to look for pastors. Now, we didn't have a bunch of problems because a lot of people don't know this. The Southern Baptists have a digest that when a church is looking for a pastor, they published it. But before we could even get into this digest published, we had 187 resumes for pastors for this church. And what we didn't know in all of this, and of course this is late, God had already had a pastor for us. I went to several places in Middle Georgia, Macon and Savannah, to hear preachers preach and to come back and give them a report. And all the time, our next pastor was around the corner from us. And when he came in, everybody took a vote after talking to him and unanimously decided that this was the person that we wanted for our pastor. We arranged to listen to him preach, and after that, we arranged the same day that he preached, we had a vote, and they voted me in as senior pastor. This was 2007, and he was pastor here until 2023. My pastor was Reverend Dr. Stephen Nelson Dow Sr.
Hello, I'm Deacon Spencer Murray.
And I'm Sister Ashley Murray.
And we joined the park in 2013 and really excited to celebrate the park's 152nd church anniversary.
And we want to tell you about some of the amazing things that God is doing in the life of the park. The church's mission is broken up into 3 parts.
Yes, we want to glorify God by connecting people to Him and to others, by impacting our community in various different ways, and by inspiring all individuals to live boldly for Jesus Christ.
I think those 3 parts are evident in our 30 ministries.
Yeah, so I'm going to highlight just a few. I'm going to plug some of the ones I'm involved in. If they sound interesting to you, just come on and join them. So the missions ministry is so active. We're planning a 3rd missions trip to Uganda. Of course, we've done some things statewide, but I believe the international mission trip is so special because we're following the scripture that says, take Jesus' love and the gospel to all outer parts of the world. Another ministry that's growing is the children's ministry. It looks so much different from the past. They have their own service every single Sunday, and they have their own space downstairs. It's more like a wing. They have multiple rooms downstairs where they can be loud and praising God and doing their activities worlds away from the adults upstairs.
And now for my plugs. For the ministries that I'm a part of, the Pearls and Wisdom is another ministry which seeks to equip girls with the tools to live a purposeful, God-ordained life that is pleasing to the Father, the community, and the world. And we study the Word, we serve our community, and have lots of fun activities. And I can't forget to mention the Word Ministry. We are the Women of Royal Distinction and are beyond thrilled to resume our annual retreat this summer.
So as you can see, there are many different ways where you can plug in and connect to the park. You can come get fed spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. We're not just a Sunday service church. During the week, the clothes pantry and the food pantry is open. And now this year we started a new service, a midweek service called The Gathering. And we're in the middle of a series that PM is doing talking about living in victory. And while the adults are being fed spiritually in The Gathering, the kids, starting this week, will have Awana, where they get to do some activities and continue to grow their faith and foundation in the Lord.
As you can see, there are so many ways to be plugged into the park, and we are excited to be celebrating the church's 152nd anniversary, and we can't wait to see what God has in store for the future of the park.
Good morning, Rainbow Park. My name is Paisley, and I have been a member of the Rainbow Park Baptist Church since 2012. I am representing the future of the park. Here at the park, we are aware that the next-gen children are the future of our church. We believe and commit to the 2030 vision that the park will have 1,500 active members in 2030. The park will have a $2 million annual budget in 2030. The park will have welcomed 1,000 visitors by 2030. The park will have a total of 1 million community service hours by 2030, and the park will break ground on a new sanctuary by 2030. To accomplish this, we must develop leaders for God by connecting people, impacting lives, and inspiring change. So I encourage you to come to Sunday school, church, and bring a friend.